Iliza, I'll start with a question for you. Can you just talk about the inspiration for writing the story, this idea of like a lost summer where you find yourself?
Yes, this came to me around 2018. I think it was as a way to process. I had just gotten married or I was getting married. I'd have to look back at the email that I wrote myself. But it was my way of sort of processing the end of, it's not being young, because you're young as long as you feel like you're young, but the end of that time in your life. You know, once you get married and you become a mother, you start to have kids and you kind of move into that portion. There are no more summers at home. There's no more summer flings. There's no more summer jobs. The ephemeral nature of things that are summer, for all of their beauty and fleeting pain, are kind of gone because you're stepping into more of an adult role. And I think I was sort of acknowledging that, like, there's no more of that. Like, you can never really go home again. Once you're someone's wife, once you're someone's mother, you can't be a kid in your parents' house. Like, what am I going to do with my life? And I wanted to, I mean, even though we have those existential dreads all the time, I wanted to just see that summer and live in it. Because I have it, summers growing up in the suburbs of Dallas and in Texas loom so large in my heart. There are like times that you explore stuff. There are times that you end up at a random party with someone you don't know. Like, there's no responsibility. And I just wanted to see that in film. And I wanted to see that one more time before it was kind of gone for me.
Because Josephine, I've heard you refer to the film as fun forward. And
That's a statement.
What does that mean?
I mean, I feel like exactly. I think we, it's like if you're making a comedy, you should really try to have fun doing it. I think, you know what I mean? I've heard like on previous projects, comedians talking about like the groups that they came up in about of comedy that were sort of like comedy torture, like where people are just like pitted against each other.
Yeah.
This was the opposite. It was like I was like, let's just have a lot of fun. You know, it was like, we're so blessed that we get to make this. And especially in a time when I feel like our industry is like in a crazy overhaul and many things are not getting made. It was just a joy to get to be on set, honestly. And this is a very special group of people, and I think we like kind of like all fell in love with each other. So
it was a little annoying.
It was very easy to have fun on our set, and we had actually, honestly, I think one thing that did separate our set from a lot of other sets that I've been on is that usually as a director, you're just trying to like I'm always like, I got to keep good vibes. I want everyone to feel like seen, heard, because I do think the best work comes when there's a collective kind of vulnerability. But that doesn't happen unless everyone feels safe. But usually I'm the one doing that. And then there's also other people who are maybe like accidentally sabotaging that vibe. This was not that. This was like Iliza's around really like showing up like ahead of her, like before her call time so that she's ready in hair and makeup like at the moment that we start. She is also like gathering the crew on the weekends and the cast for like gatherings, parties, dinners. Pickleball.
It was mandatory.
And Eric Bronco, our DP, is like one of the sweetest men I've ever met, and also one of the DPs I've worked with who's just the most. He is so paying so much attention to like the vibe of the whole set, not just his own crew, which he keeps so happy. Like they love working with him, but like everybody, he just makes everyone feel seen, heard, and it was a real. I just think to have all these points of leadership and really kind producers, like we were really blessed. Because that doesn't always happen. Like set can be really tough, and it was a real pleasure. Yeah.
And Cassidy, your character is one that seems somewhat unsympathetic at first, but like as the story goes along, she kind of becomes more understood. And like, how did you approach that?
You know, when Iliza told me about this character, she was so specific to a person that Iliza knew, and I really thought about like what that would feel like to be a big sister, to be someone who feels trapped maybe in their life a little bit, but also super proud of what they've accomplished and just how much that means to them and their heart and their family. And I think that's something that's really relatable to people. I think we all have that thing that makes us kind of get like a little teary, a little like, red in the eyes that matters so much that someone else may not understand. And I love that Marissa has this like kind of like fuck you attitude. And then you get to see the inner workings of her through her relationship with her sister, which is like just so unique, and we all know that feeling.
Yeah.
She's my favorite character.
No, why is that? Yeah.
I mean, when I wrote Marissa, I paused for a second. I was like, how do I play her and let someone else be the lead of this movie? Because she is so if you look at the way her, like I was very specific about the way I wanted her to look. She is such a caricature and yet so grounded. And, you know, the bad inspirational tattoos and the bedazzled belt buckles and like just very 2000s in a way, and speaks in like metaphors and is just like spiritual, like just easy to write off. But then there is, like Cassidy was saying, like a grain of someone very real there with a heart. But just aesthetically, like she is the vibe.
Eliza has a quote about herself where she says, "I am the internet."
I said it once.
Okay, you said it once, but it has really stuck with me because it was so helpful. Like we had 5 minutes to prep this film. Like really, we literally had 2 weeks on the ground, and there were so many budget issues and chaos. So it was really hard. Normally as a director, you would build a mood board for every character and for the production design. And it was like, you're just like, have a conversation, hit the ground running, Yeah. And I remember being like, okay, for costumes, we were like, okay, we need to develop Marissa's outfit. And I could tell like Amala, our costume designer, who's brilliant, she was like, I need some direction. And I was like, Iliza, can you help with the mood board for Marissa? And what came back was like the internet times 1,000.
I a Pinterest page. Like we're going to the types of people that like really care about their Stanley, like that decorate their Stanley. We're looking at Y2K inspiration, like white denim stitching on jeans, like a vibe that was so specific to the mid 2000s that like a lot of people still wear because like they didn't get the memo, and like I'm sure Gen Z is like bringing it back, and please don't. Sorry. And so I just wanted to see that. Like, she is your boss at your summer job that you and your friends still make fun of. Like, my best friend and I have that when we worked at the body shop in, like, 2000. And we still, I'll call and I'll be like, remember Janelle? Like, it's just a woman trying to make a living, and you're just young, and you're just like, what a loser. It's just what people do.
Aimee, one of the things I like so much about your character is the way that, you know, her like friend group that she's sort of had for maybe too long, and how they're still sort of like stuck in these like old dynamics. And what was that like as something to explore in the movie?
Oh, it was so fun. I mean, first of all, the collaboration between these two leaders, you know, being such different types of artists, like Iliza is a global sensation and knows joke structure better than anyone else in the world. And this one, you know, Sundance Grand Jury Award winner and such an artiste. And them two together, I came in and I said, hey, can I sprinkle Spanish to make it authentic to Texas? And it was a emphatic yes. And then I really trusted Josephine, where she almost choreographed the comedic beats, where she said, all of you put your head to the right after this line. And we just jumped and trusted, and it was so lovely. And I think it's one of those things where you see the world in a certain way in high school, and then you go back and you realize that the person you thought discarded you had a crush on you. And it was the polar opposite of what you envisioned in your head, which I think is so relatable. And what I think is so special about this movie is that it's personally specific to Iliza's background and life experience, but it's so relatable, where everyone is nervous about being the outcast. Everybody wants to fit in. Everybody wants to be liked, especially when you're going through puberty. So I think it's very intimidating when these dolled up, super put together, almost Heather type of triplets have your back. But when you're 15-year-old girl, you see the world so different. And then you come back as a millennial, and these same women are like, where did you go? And so, you know, for 20 years to carry a misunderstanding, I think is so relatable. Yeah. So it has lots of layers. Yeah. It was really, it was great.
But you also added a lot, like Aimee and Kristen and Lauren, who played those three together. We built some things in the supermarket to make them really feel like almost like an octopus like surrounded her, kind of like Medea.
That's what I wrote. I was like, it's like Medea. You guys get it.
But it was so fun because we had some launch points. But then again, you're directing, you have a million things to do. And they were like, okay, so we're going to it's going to be when they had to approach Iliza. We built a blocking, obviously. And I thank God for all my clown theater training. You know what I mean? This is one where it came in handy. But then they were like, okay, great. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, stop. And they were like, and they really choreographed, it really was a lot of precision. And it was so a delight to see us jam together. Yeah.
Everybody was down.
Down to clown. I know, Garrett, you and Tom, you play sort of the ingenue and the babe in the story. What are typically,
That's our band. I'm gonna have to Google that.
that are typically, you know, the roles for women in a story like this. How did that feel?
I didn't see it that way.
All days. I'm so happy with the movie's characters to life by two amazing filmmakers. And this is, you know, in some ways it's a dream role. It's a dream to work with Josephine, and the script that Iliza put together and the words that were on the page were brilliant, and it's what locked me into this story. And I love that you're looking at me right now.
I'm just thinking. I'm sorry. I love the female gaze. I'm gazing.
Yes.
Gazing in an ingenue. What about ingenue? Look at
So
that wave.
I like that we're kind of subverting expectation, and we're like shifting the paradigm now, where for so long it was women being seen in this light, and now with both Ransom Canyon and with Chasing Summer, it has shifted.
And Tom, how did you approach the role?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. One of the ways into this character for me is he has a real issue with how people park their cars, and it really drives him nuts. And for me, that meant that this is a guy who just wants to tell everybody what they should be doing, yet he's not able to really do that to himself, and he doesn't realize that. But I just, you know, it's so cool that this film is about identity and people sort of finding them, whether they're misinterpretations of their high school time when they're trying to figure out their identity, and then maybe 20 years later looking back on it. And I'm a big fan in films and television where characters have to be worthy of the other character's attention. And one of the things that we tried to do with my character was make it believable, make it worth it, that he would be desirable and not just a one-note kind of jerk, because then she'd have no patience for that. And so we got to play with that and make it a little more multidimensional. So it was a lot of fun. It was like group effort.
Because Josephine and Iliza, this seems like a moment when the sort of female-focused, like sexy romance is sort of making a comeback. And what was it like for the two of you wanting to, you know, make this movie that kind of brought some hotness?
Well, that's all Josephine, because I'm on record as like, I wrote scenes, you know, as women, we want to see like a makeout session. Like a lot of women are like, I don't want to have sex. I just want a hot makeout. I want to go to bed. And so in my, this is so sad. Like in my deepest, steamiest summer fantasy alone on my laptop, I'm like, Colby and Jamie kiss. They fall out of frame. And Josephine's like, here's what we're doing. He's going down on you. You're writhing in ecstasy. The camera comes over. We put down dolly tracks as he's going down on you from behind. Like it was like we showed up and I was like, oh, there's choreography today. It's not just a kiss. We went for it.
We went for it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josephine.
It was a great day at the office for me. I don't know if anyone else had a nice time.
It was also one of our first scenes that we shot. One of the myriad of the intimate scenes. But that was a good right into the frying pan and into the fire.
I'm also just going to say this because I've forgotten to say this for every interview. I'm about to be 43, and I just believe that, you know, I work out, I work on my body, and I feel like you're not allowed to say those things and it makes you sound self-centered, but I get value from that. And one day you won't want to show your body on camera. And I was like, well, I can still do this, and I'm so proud of, there's a lot of parts of myself I'm not proud of. And I was like, why not put it out there? And if you're going to judge that there's a weird mark or you didn't like it, at least I put it out there and I felt good about doing it. And I hope that women see our intimacy scenes and they feel turned on and they feel excited. And I didn't feel exploited. I didn't feel that this was for a guy. I felt like we were in a weird way doing this to turn women on. And when women are turned on, men are turned on. And I've definitely had the male sex scenes. I have had sex with Mark Wahlberg on a sink in a movie with no kissing. So that is a male sex scene. And so this was distinctly female because of you.
Yes. God, yeah.
Clothes stayed on. Whatever.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually didn't realize that until recently, that because the sex scenes feel really sexy in our film, and we had like a little test screening. It was pretty big. It was like 40 people in December, and it went really well. I was really pleased, thank God. And but then afterwards, one of the men was like, because we're asking for feedback, one of the men was like, you know, the sex scenes are a little long. And there was like a collective cry. Like every woman in the theater was like, shut the fuck up. They were like turned around. They were gonna like tear his hair out. It was like, and it was like, whoa, something is happening. Like that movie, because I think it scratches an itch. Like because those sex scenes are about the sexiness. It's not about like a climax. It's not about like going somewhere. And it's kind of about that. I mean, I purposely edited the first sex scene of the film like in a very nonlinear way to be like, maybe they had sex once, maybe they had sex 3 times. But it's like a really clear that like he's really focused on her pleasure. And I think that it really resonated. And it was really exciting to see like that there was a visceral response from the women in the audience, and they were like, do not cut one frame of those.
Because like, who among us doesn't want to have sex with like an attractive young guy who's like in shape and gigantic? And why are we not talking about this more? And it doesn't have to be this like Harold and Maude. Like we purposely don't say. You can ask him over that movie. Is we purposely don't say the exact ages. In this, it's like a little nebulous because it's less about the age gap. This is not like she's in her 50s and he's like 21 or something. Like it's believable that these two could be together. And I don't think any movie's done that where it's like there's an age gap, but we don't really talk about it in the movie.
Right.
Because who among us would not like to spend a summer fucking him?
And the craziest thing is that it is so sexy, and somehow I'm like, you could also probably raise this movie
bubbles are
PG-13 or something, because there's like the clothes are on. You know what I mean? It's just a weird.
No nip summer.
No.
And with that,
thank you for LA Times.
I thank you, the cast of Chasing Summer.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
This is the first interview we've climbed to the end.